Okay, everyone, I think it's time to get started. So, welcome, good afternoon from the UK, and welcome to today's postgraduate information session on MSc Applied Business Analytics. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is David McKinnon from the student recruitment team at GCU, and I'll be your host for this 30-minute session. Before we begin, just a couple of quick housekeeping notes. All microphones and cameras are disabled during the session to ensure a smooth experience for everyone. And if you have any questions at any point, please pop them into the chat box. You should be able to see it on the middle of your screen. We'll be answering as many of these as we can during the question and answer session at the end of this session. I'd also like to let you know that today's session has been recorded. It will be available on the GCU YouTube page in the coming weeks, so you'll be able to watch it back or share it with others. Now, I'm pleased to introduce you to today's presenter, Dr. Maurizio Silva, who will be speaking about MSc Applied Business Analytics. So I'll now hand over to Maurizio.
Thank you so much. Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Maurizio Silva, and I am the program leader here at Glasgow Caledonian University for the MSc in Applied Business Analytics. And thank you for giving us your time today. I hope that you get as much as possible from this high-level overview, of course, which I will try to get you as deep as possible into what the program is actually like, what will you do, how will it help your career, and why coming to Glasgow Caledonian University in Glasgow and the UK gives you a set of advantages that I think will be absolutely fantastic for you. So let me start with a very simple observation. We are living through one of the most consequential shifts in economic history. Every organization, every bank, every hospital, every retailer, every government department now has a lot more data that it can possibly make sense of. But the ability to extract any kind of meaning from that data, to translate it into decisions, to lead teams that depend on it, and to so responsibly and ethically has become a little bit of a problem. That capability remains very scarce. And that's the gap between what organizations need and what they can find, what we're trying to fill here. This gap is widening, by the way. It's not narrowing at all. The World Economic Forum ranks data analysts and data scientists among the top 5 most in-demand roles at the moment in the global economy. The UK government estimates that data skills shortage is costing the British businesses alone over £10 billion a year. And what they're saying is that by 2030, there will be over 400,000 unfilled data roles in the UK alone. This gap is an opportunity which the MSc in Applied Business Analytics at GCU has been built to put on you firmly on the right side of it. And if we start talking about this, we start looking about what is going on here in terms of how this shortfall will be filled. In terms of the UK digital economy, before we look at the program itself, let me give you a little bit of context on where it sits, because understanding the scale of the opportunity is very important. The UK's digital economy contributes over 150 billion to GDP annually. That's about 10% of the entire economy, and it is the fastest growing sector by a significant margin. The UK ranks 3rd globally for artificial intelligence investment, behind only the US and China, and it's home to more AI companies in any other European country. 2 million people currently work in the UK's digital tech industry, and that number is projected to grow substantially over the next decade. The UK government has committed 2.3 billion to AI research and development through its national AI strategy, and the Department of Science, Innovation and Technology has explicitly identified analytics as a critical skills priority for national economic competitiveness. The government's target is 1 million people with AI and data skills by 2030, a target that signals both the ambition and the scale of the gap that currently exists. Why Scotland? Well, Scotland's data economy demonstrates a lot of what we're talking about. Scotland punches above its weight substantially. Scotland is a particularly important part of the whole picture. And I want to spend a moment on this because many prospective students underestimate how significant Scotland's data and technology sector is. Scotland's digital technology sector generates around £5.5 billion in economic value annually, employs over 100,000 people, and is home to more than 200 dedicated data and AI companies. Scotland has 5 universities in the global top 200, and the concentration of world-class computing and data science research in Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Strathclyde creates a talent pipeline that attracts inward investment from global technology companies. So this is across the board. Our major universities, our biggest universities ourselves, we're all dedicated to filling in this gap. The Data Lab, which is Scotland's National Data Innovation Centre, with which GCU has a formal partnership, places data scientists in Scottish businesses and public sector organizations, and creates direct links between academic studies and industry practice. FinTech Scotland has built a cluster of over 200 financial technology companies in the Central Belt, which is between Edinburgh and Glasgow, and these form the UK's second largest FinTech hub. NHS Scotland runs one of Europe's most sophisticated national health data platforms, making it a major employer of analytics professionals. And the Scottish government's own digital strategy is investing hundreds of millions in public sector data capability. My point is that Scotland is not peripheral. It's not a peripheral location for a data career. This is at the core. It is one of the most dynamic data economies in Europe, with a cost of living that makes the real terms value of the salary of people employed here and the degree investment significantly higher than London and the Southeast. Glasgow in itself, where we are, where GCU is the UK's analytics capital outside of London. And let me be a little bit more specific about Glasgow because it deserves more than a simple passing mention. Glasgow is the UK's largest financial centre outside of London. This is not marketing. This is not promotion. It is a statement of economic geography. JP Morgan has a major technology analytics hub in the city, and it employs thousands of data professionals. Barclays, one of its largest analytics operations from Glasgow, Morgan Stanley, Bank of New York Mellon, and a string of major insurers and asset managers all have significant operations here. The concentration of financial services employment in the Glasgow City region is exceptional. But Glasgow's analytics ecosystem goes way beyond just financial services. The Glasgow City Innovation District is a £1 billion investment zone in which GCU's campus sits. We are right in the core of this. We're right in the center. And it is explicitly designed to accelerate knowledge transfer between universities and industry. We are embedded in it. That means our students have direct access to analytics companies, startups, and research partnerships that simply do not exist at universities in more conventional or traditional locations. Our partnerships with Bloomberg and the Data Lab give students access to professional grade tools and live industry projects. Bloomberg certification, which you will have access to during this course, signals to employers that you can work with real financial market from day one. It's not only financial market, it's economic metrics and beyond. It is a credential that most analytics graduates simply do not have. Data Lab partnerships mean that some students have the opportunity to work on real projects with real organizations during their studies. And then there's, of course, the practical matter of quality of life. Glasgow is fantastic. It's my favorite city in the UK. It's ranked one of the most affordable cities for students. It's cheaper than Edinburgh, forget London, and it has a world-class cultural scene, superb transport connections to the rest of the UK, and it's very, very welcoming and a genuinely diverse community for anyone who wants to come from outside the UK. Academic quality, professional opportunities, and affordable living are really, really key attraction to Glasgow. Oops. So let's talk a little bit about the program itself. The MSc in Applied Business Analytics is 180 credits. That means you will have 8 taught courses and 1 large project. 9 taught project, 9 with, there's an additional module there. The programs at the majority of programs that you'll find at postgraduate level tend to be very, very theoretical. They teach methods and models, but leave that connection between real business and practice largely to you. This program was designed from the ground up differently. From the first module to the final research project, the emphasis is on doing, working with real data, producing professional grade outputs, and developing the communication and leadership skills that allow analytic capability to translate into organizational impact. We are taking that theory and putting it into practice from the get-go. It runs for a full-time year, and it carries the whole idea of credits. We'll explain that in induction if you're really interested in that. SAQF level 11 is postgraduate level, and this is translated through all the core modules. What the curriculum is, the curriculum, I can't even say curriculum this morning, is structured around 5 interconnected capability areas. These capability areas are data management analysis, predictive optimization, predictive data analytics and optimization, communication visualization, artificial intelligence, and ethics and governance. These run at the core of what we do. The first, of course, data management analysis. This is the module that we will do here in strategic data analysis. Develops your command of statistical and machine learning foundations. Well, we also have a data programming module, which builds your Python coding skills. You can work directly with data rather than depending on technical colleagues. These are the technical foundations everything else builds on. One key advantage of how we teach your data programming, we look for tools that make this as easy as possible. For example, for Python, we use a tool called Orange. Orange allows you to do programming visually, graphically. It makes your life incredibly easier. The second area, of course, is predictive and optimization capability. Predictive intelligence module covers how to build, evaluate, and deploy forecasting modules. The business optimization module, moves analytics from description to prediction into recommendation. And it tells organizations not only what is likely to happen, but what they should do about it. This is the kind of module that makes your decisions a lot more valuable, a lot more valuable for firms. The third area, of course, is communication visualization. Data visualization module is consistently cited by employers as one of the most underdeveloped skills among analytics graduates. The problem is we build your technical skills, we make you fantastic, or a university makes you fantastic experts in analytics, and by the time you need to present the information, you're unable to. We focus a lot on communication visualization precisely because of this problem. You will be able to translate complex analytical findings in something that is clear, persuasive visual outputs for technical and not technical audiences. The fourth area, of course, is artificial intelligence. It's a must in everything we do. The AI in business analytics takes you inside machine learning, neural networks, and natural language processing, again, from a doing perspective, and addresses AI governance, practical challenges in deploying AI in organizational settings. And this is where we look forward in character. We know what is happening to data analytics. We are very aware how AI is affecting it. And what we want to make sure is that you are future-proofing your career. And of course, the fifth area is data ethics and governance, absolutely indispensable, and engages directly with all the regulations, the laws in Europe in terms of how we figure out problems like algorithmic accountability, governance frameworks, and of course, finally, there's the developing and leadership and common good module that is there to ensure that your capability is paired with the personal and professional attitudes and qualities needed to lead responsibly. Why is this? So finally, we end up with a 45 credit finance and analytics research project, which is absolutely fantastic in terms of putting all your skills into practice. Sorry, if anyone has any questions, right? Okay, sorry. I was just looking at a couple of messages there. My apologies. So employers tell us what the difference is. Why is this so different, and what we should be focusing on value. So we talk about the real data sets, the communication skill you're developing, the professional deliverables, the simulation exercise. All these things are interconnected, they're intertwined, and allows to produce something that's substantially more tangible and better for you. Let me move on. So what are we aiming for when you graduate? Where do we want you to go to? So in terms of the sectors that hire analytics graduates, and let me try to do this with all the specificity that I can. In terms of applied business analytics in particular, financial services is by far the largest single employer of analytics graduates, at least in the UK, and particularly in Scotland. The sector has a contribution of 173 billion to UK GDP, around 8.3% of the total economy, and employs 1.1 million people across the country. Scotland, financial and business services employ over 160,000 people and generate 13 billion annually. Within financial services, demand for analytics professionals spans pretty much in every function. Retail and commercial banking, we have RBS, NatWest, Virgin Money, Barclays, all have major Glasgow operations. Analytics roles include credit risk modeling, fraud detection, anti-money laundering, analytics, and customer life value modeling and insurance. These are roles that you will find replicated in pretty much every other type of business. Aviva, Standard Life, Aberdeen, Scottish Widows, major Scottish employers for analytics roles. Also, we have pricing analytics, claims fraud detection. Increasingly, we have climate risk modeling, which is one of the fastest growing specialisms. In asset management, we have Bailey Gifford and Aberdeen in terms of global leaders with growing quantitative and alternative data analytics teams. And the growing field, of course, of RegTech, regulatory technology, is creating a huge demand for analysts who understand both the regulatory framework and the data infrastructure needed for compliance. About 42% of major banks now have a chief data officer. And data starting salaries are really good as well in this sector. In terms of the public sector, we have the NHS, life sciences, and these are purpose-driven analytics. The public sector is also an area of analytics employment that is consistently underestimated by prospective students. And this, in my opinion, is a big mistake because public sector firm, for example, NHS Scotland, runs one of the most sophisticated health data platforms in Europe. Public Health Scotland employs analysts, data scientists that support the whole national health strategy. They are there to be able to be ahead of any kind of new development, health development, such as pandemics and things of that nature. This is a really important part of what a government is doing. And the Scottish government's own analytics function is constantly actively expansive, as are Transport Scotland, Scottish Enterprise, and Revenue Scotland. The Scottish government has invested £2.4 billion in digital and data capability. That was 23-24. And the growth in these public sector data roles has run at around 30% over the past 3 years. And although salaries in the public sector, as you all know, are relatively lower, the work is meaningful, and the knowledge that your outputs are directly affecting people's health, well-being, and access to services is invaluable. Life sciences is another growing sector using analytics. Scotland's life sciences corridor, this connects Edinburgh, Dundee, and Glasgow, is home to pharmaceutical biotechs that include GSK, AstraZeneca, and Novartis. Every time there's any kind of clinical trial, data management, genomics, analytics, healthcare, artificial intelligence, all these are huge area for recruitment. There's also retail and consulting, which is retail technology consulting, which are also huge areas for analytics. So beyond financial services in the public sector, analytics professionals are in demand across retail and e-commerce. Customer personalization, demand forecasting, pricing optimization. These are necessities now. In the technology and fintech sectors, Scotland's fintech cluster and anchored by companies like Skyscanner, FanDuel, Nucleus Financial also employ hundreds of analytics professionals. And this is a sector that is growing rapidly, continues to grow. Management consulting is another big area in terms of Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, Accenture, McKinsey, all have large and quite substantial analytics practices. Right, so what does this translate for today in the UK environment in terms of market shares, analytics, and just about the career value of this degree? So the median salary in the UK for an analytics professional is around £52,000 per year. And it has been rising approximately 8% annually, significantly faster than the average UK wage growth. A note on this. Remember that the more people who join an industry, especially an emerging sector like the analytics sector, the more supply is going to be. At the moment, we are seeing that growth due to scarcity, but that is all being filled. There's people who are moving, so obviously this growth is going to taper at a given point in time. However, we have the more experience, knowledge, and preparation that you have allows you to command much, much higher salaries in terms leading obviously to heads of data and things of that nature. And if you think about that in terms of Scotland, Glasgow, in terms of salary, although salaries tend to be, okay, thanks, David. So here are some of the technical roles that you can find in terms of career pathways that will help you quite a lot in terms of financial analytics, and that will help your career. Sorry. And it's really, it just keeps growing, all these business facing roles, et cetera, that can actually help you to grow more in your career. I know we do have automation coming, but this is something that we are prepared to deal with in terms of what we do and how we do it. And our tech innovation system, as I said, is being driven by universities and how our universities are working towards continuous growth. We do something that we like to call education with a conscience. And this is really important part of developing leadership for the common good, data ethics and research methods. And all these elements are really important in how we teach analytics. As I said before, there is quite a few opportunities across the board, and those are in constant demand, and it's a constant demand that is growing. So I'm skipping a little bit here just to make sure that we cover everything. But you know what your entry requirements are. We want people from all walks of life that have some experience and want to apply that experience to analytics. As a growing field, we're always interested in what you have to offer as well. I think it's a really, really key element. So what do we offer to you? Real data sets applied, professional delivers applied from day one. You'll have access to the Bloomberg Lab, live industry projects, and obviously all the software that you may need. The data ecosystem, you look around here and you're going to be fed by really, really important and interesting companies. We have ethics and leadership built in, and of course, our common good mission, which is really important. It's a contribution to society that we're looking for here. And finally, this is a job market that didn't exist a few years ago, but one is taking shape. Please contact us, where David can give you a lot more information in terms of the whole application process. And breathe.
Thank you so much, Maurizio. Sorry for rushing you a little bit towards the end there, as I'm aware you've got a hard stop at 12:30 for you, another webinar to go to. But thank you very much for that interesting presentation. Does anyone have any questions they want to quickly ask us before we head off? Please put them on the chat just now. If you do think of any questions after the presentation's over, if you email the student inquiries team at studentinquiries@gcu.ac.uk, then we can get back to you there, either from the admission side of things, I'll get back to myself, or about the programme, Maurizio can get back to you then. We've got no questions coming in then, and that brings us to the end of today's session. I'd like to thank Maurizio very much for his time and expertise, and also send a big thank you to all of you for attending, for your participation. Just a reminder that this session will be available on the GC YouTube page in the coming weeks. If you'd like to revisit any of the content, and we hope you found today's session useful, and we look forward to hopefully welcoming as many of you back to GCU for your postgraduate studies. Thank you again, and have a great day. Thanks, Maurizio.